Honor to interview a member of this year's AFC champion, Cincinnati Bengals. Can you introduce yourself?
Hi, yeah, I'm Steve Radičević, and I do most of the pro scouting for the Bengals. But we also do some college scouting, so we do a little bit of both with our department. But yeah, I really appreciate you having me on the show and talking some football with everybody.
I gotta ask, your last name. Is there any connection with our region?
Yeah, so Radičević is all my mom's family is from Belgrade, and they actually owned a restaurant out there. My great-grandfather owned a restaurant, a bar out there, and then during the war, they all moved to the United States, to Milwaukee, where we have a Serbian restaurant called Three Brothers. My family owns it, and right now it's run by Milunka. It's a famous restaurant out here. If you guys do the research, there's plenty of articles that come up. My uncle Branko ran the restaurant, and it was kind of the home base for family on gatherings and whatnot. We'd all go out there for the holidays and shut the restaurant down. So yeah, that's kind of my background. We went out there probably before COVID, so about 7 years ago. Love the country, the food, the culture. I mean, it's unbelievable. And my wife was pregnant at the time, so unfortunately we weren't able to go out and experience the nightlife, but we could see from the hotel room what a lively city it was in country, and it's unbelievable, and we got to get back somehow.
Hey, I hope you're gonna get back, because you got to experience that. Do you know any Serbian words? Do you speak any Serbian?
Yeah, just the basics. Kako se, dobro dan, lepo noć. Yeah, just the basics.
Nice.
Some bad words.
Yeah, we're gonna leave them.
Yeah.
Hey, you are a part of a Bengals football operation. Can you tell us what is exactly your position?
Yeah, so my title is Director of Pro Personnel, and normally what that would entail is, so at the end of every season, there's free agents that come up, and guys, the contracts run out. So we have to have that list in order and know what players we're going to target when their contracts do expire. So my job would be to organize that. These are the top targets. These are the players that we want to pursue in free agency, and then present it to the ownership. I think this player is worth this amount. I think this player is worth this amount. And this is how they would fit into our budget. This is where they would fit onto our team. So that's kind of the presentation I give to the ownership. And then once free agency starts, we're talking to agents, trying to negotiate contracts, trying to get the players on board with what we were building here. And yeah, luckily we've done decently the last couple of years with signing quality players, guys that want to win, and they're all competitive players. So it's been good for us.
Yeah, couple of great years for you. How did you become a scout? Can you show us that field?
Okay, so here's kind of the story. So somewhere over there, I don't know if you can see it, right there, my boss, Duke Tobin, who is actually Serbian as well. His roots go a little bit further back than ours do, but he's talking to me over there about what I wanted to do with my life, and told him I wanted to get into personnel. So at the time when he was here, I was coaching and recruiting for UCLA when I got done playing. And he asked me what I wanted to do. I told him I wanted to be a scout and work in personnel and win some Super Bowls. And fast forward 10 years later, and here we are at the same place where I played and worked. And it's strange seeing Bengals players on the field that I played, of all the places we could have been.
Yeah, the biggest stage, LA, no doubt, and the Super Bowl. How does an NFL team prepares for a draft? We always broadcast in draft nights. Can you explain the process?
Yeah, so the process really starts. So right now we're working on this next year's draft. But when this draft's over, we're already working on the next year's class. So we're trying to get just a rough layout of who the top players are going to be in the country. And then come August, when the season starts, our scouts are hitting the road. We're going to colleges. We're talking to coaches we're trying to identify the top players and get them rated on our board. This guy's a first-round player. This guy's a second-round player. This guy's a third-round player. I think this guy's going to be a starter. I think this guy's going to be a backup. This guy would be a good camp player to help compete on the roster. So that we're kind of doing that most of the fall, getting the draft board ready. Once the college season's done, so like right now, where we are right now, we're going to all-star games. So like the Senior Bowl is the big all-star game. They invite the top seniors to that all-star game. And it gives us a good process of evaluation of players that are all on kind of same level. And a lot of guys will stand out, and some guys weed themselves out throughout the process. We also get time to spend with them there and interview them and talk to them about just their personalities, try to get a feel for what they're like. So that's January. February, we're going to Indianapolis for the Combine, and that's where they do all the testing. We get the numbers. And again, we spend some time with them on the board interview process. And then March, we're bouncing around, going to pro days, so individual player workouts. So we'll be back out here in March watching UCLA's seniors and juniors that came out early working out. And it just gives us another form of evaluation. And then April is mostly draft meetings. And then end of April is the draft. Yeah,
very complex process. And you nailed it. Last 3 years, this Bengals team, I always say that it's a young team with young playmakers. When we watch draft in Europe, people always want to see a quarterback. You know, that's the shiniest figure on the field. How easy was for you to decide to pick Joe Burrow? Because he's a star. This year was a breakout year for him, and I think 95% of people knew he was going to be the first pick on the draft. Do you have any second minds, second thoughts?
No chance. I mean, he's unbelievable. He's a stud. He's everything we thought he would be coming in. Took command of the team right away. Obviously, he had the setback with the injury, fought through the adversity, came back this year and led us to the Super Bowl. So it's been, there's never any second thoughts on the pick.
Whose idea was to reunite Burrow with JaMarr Chase?
I would say it was a group effort. I think, I think it was a tough call. You know, I think a lot of people gave us heat for it because they felt like we should have drafted an offensive lineman.
Guilty.
But
mistaken.
I think everybody had mixed feelings on it. Obviously, it was the right pick, I think, and for the team and the chemistry those two have. It's unbelievable seeing them, seeing the way those guys work and grind. I mean, we beat Kansas City and we're on the flight back, and you would think it'd be a party on the plane. And you have Joe Burrow and JaMarr Chase and T. Higgins all watching tape. I mean, it's not a big deal for these guys. These guys know what the goal is. They want to win the Super Bowl, and they're not happy with just winning the AFC Championship.
Yeah, I always tell it when I'm broadcasting. Burrow more than 4,000 yards, Higgins and Chase more than 1,000 catching, and Mixon more than 1,000 running. Young core, they're all under 26 years old. Is this the right way to make a team? Because you're going to play against the Rams, who have different philosophy. They have more experienced players, more veterans, and you have a young core. What is your opinion?
Different ways you can build a roster. We really hit it the last 2 years. I mean, it was a complete strip down. You know, we had players that had played a long time for us and had been extremely successful. But it was kind of getting, you know, it was a little bit older of a roster, and we knew we had to just completely rebuild it. And we knew it wasn't going to be a 1-year deal. We knew it was going to be a 2-3 year deal. And we knew that, you know, going into free agency, we wanted to get young players that kind of were able to grow with Joe, grow with the other core players that we had on the roster. And that's really kind of what our philosophy was throughout free agency, was just getting young, hungry players and guys that can all grow together and not just be 1-year players. It's, you know, players that we wanted here to be here for multiple years.
Can I ask you something? it's rarely that somebody draft a kicker. Usually they make a mistake. Kickers are not that consistent, but this year Evan McPherson made a difference. Every big game, every time he needed to step up, he stepped up. Can you tell us what you saw before you draft him? He was a 5th round pick.
Yeah, I think with a lot of kickers, specialists, but kickers in particularly, they have to have that mental makeup to not go in the tank after a missed kick or let things carry on. And his ability to just move on to the next kick is unbelievable. It's unlike, I've never seen it. And obviously he's got an unbelievable leg, a strong leg, but his just poise and ability to go in there and win games is unbelievable for what his age and the situations that he's been put in. There's no way I'd want to be in those situations. And yeah, I mean, he's been unbelievable.
Can you tell us something about the SoFi Stadium? You played against the Rams 2019, but you didn't play with this team. And now you're on SoFi, Hollywood, Los Angeles. At the halftime show, you're going to have some rock and roll Hall of Famers. It's really the biggest of the biggest stages. Can you tell us about the energy of the players, of the coaching staff?
The players are they're all dialed in. I mean, I don't know how to explain it. This is unlike any kind of group I've ever been around. For these guys to be as young as they are and be as mature as they are, it's unbelievable. So like last night, I was going out to dinner, and the players don't have curfew till midnight. But most of them were stayed in the hotel. They're having food brought in. None of them are, going out or trying to enjoy the nightlife. I mean, all these guys are just here to play the game, and that was really cool to see last night. That these guys weren't trying to go out and get in trouble or go have fun. They all want to win. So yeah, the energy's great in this hotel room, in the practice field, and they're really not trying to let any outside distractions get to them. I don't think they could. The halftime show is going to be cool for me to watch, but I don't think they care anything about it. They'll be in the locker room preparing for the second half.
Yeah, laser focus. One ex-Bengals players is playing for the Rams right now, Andrew Whitworth. Were you on the Bengals team? I think you were when he was there. He's a legend, I can say, for the Cincinnati Bengals. He's the only left tackle who's starting at the age of 40, which is incredible. He's the Walter Payton Man of the Year for this season. Can you tell us something about Andrew?
He is extremely humble, very great personality. He was an unbelievable leader for us. And it's such a cool story for him to be playing in the Super Bowl against a team that he had played for so many years and made such a huge impact on the city of Cincinnati. So it's exciting for him and his family. And I know him and Joe had done rehab together in Los Angeles last year, so they've got a close relationship. He still has a lot of close ties with guys on the staff here, and that'll be a big game for him, and it'll be exciting.
There's more connection. Zach Taylor used to be a quarterback coach under Sean McVay at LA Rams. I think he knows how Sean McVay operates. I think they know each other. They didn't play since 2019, but it was the other Bengals team. This team is different. What can we expect? Do you think it's going to be a lot of tactics? How one can be smarter than the other one?
Yeah, I'm sure I haven't talked to Zach on it, but I know those guys are extremely close, and it'll be a fun game for them to be coaching against each other. It's pretty neat how they both came, worked together and are both playing in the Super Bowl together.
I think in NFL, in the last couple of years, teams giving coaches a short period of time to prove that they can rebuild or make a change. This is Zach Taylor's third year. First, it wasn't that successful. Then you drafted Burrow. He got hurt, so you can say anything for last season. And now in his third season, Super Bowl. is he a future for Cincinnati Bengals? I mean, maybe I'm asking in advance, but players looks like they respect him and playing for him, and players, coaches are always loved.
Are you saying is Zach or Joe?
Zach. Is he the future?
Yeah, 100%, yeah. And ownership did an unbelievable job staying patient and understanding what we were building, what Zach was building. But yeah, I mean, he's done an unbelievable job with this team and leading them in the right direction to get to this point.
Can I ask you something about the football in Europe generally? We see some players going to NFL training camps. A couple of years ago, Moritz Beringer from Germany was drafted in 4th round for Minnesota Vikings, but nobody seems to get in the roster, active roster for the games. They usually get stuck on a practice squad. What needs to happen for European players so they can make the NFL team? Do you think that can happen in next couple of years?
I definitely do. You know, there's the NFL, I think, is doing a good job of kind of trying to get players more exposure in Europe to the U.S. They do these camps in the off season. They'll have you know, players from other countries that go, and it gives us an opportunity to kind of see them move around. You know, the one that sticks out is Jordan Mailata, who's playing for Philly. Yeah. Who was a rugby player. Very raw. He had the size, and they've developed into a solid NFL offensive lineman. So there's players out there. I think the exposure is definitely getting better, and I think it'll continue to improve as these next couple of years go on.
NFL gonna have some regular season games in Germany next season. Yeah. 1 game in Munich and 3 games in London. Do you think that helps European players to get noticed, to see on a field players that they can play with in the future? I mean, do we have a chance if we don't go to college to play on the NFL? Do you think the college is the only way, the only road?
No, I think there's obviously different routes to get there. I don't think it has to just be college. And I think, like I said, the NFL doing those clinics is good exposure. Just being able to see players move around and then watching film from overseas is helpful too. But I do hope that these games increase fan bases across. You know, make it the NFL more global. Obviously, it's a fun sport, and there's a lot of energy in it, and it'd be fun to play more games internationally for sure.
Do you have plans to scout some players from Europe?
Off season, yeah, we'll get that film from the clinics, or we'll end up going. We'll send a scout, either myself or someone else, depending on where it is this off season. So yeah, we'll definitely get some exposure to players from Europe this off season.
Yeah, I gotta ask you about some players currently on the Bengals roster. Hendrickson, he's the one player who is really big star for the Bengals this season. In Saints, when he played for the Saints, it looks like, okay, he's good, but they got Cameron Jordan, they have Davenport, but now he's proved that he can be #1 rusher on a team, and Bengals are in the Super Bowl. So can you tell us your thought process when you brought him to Bengals?
Knew we needed another defensive end. We had lost Carl Lawson. He was going to the Jets, and Trey was an unbelievable player in New Orleans. We loved his motor on tape, his pass rush ability. I mean, his sacks were legitimate sacks for the Saints, and he was beating top level tackles. So we knew there was a high upside with him. You know, I don't think any of us felt like he was a one-year player. We knew he was on the up, and he was an unbelievable get for us. He's him and Sam Hubbard, our other defensive end, are wired the same way. They're all very high motor guys. They all, I mean, these guys these guys are probably on the other practice field right now. There's no practice right now, but these guys are probably working on drills right now. I mean, these guys eat football. So I mean, they both just feed off of each other. And that D-liner group is all pretty much fired the same way, from DJ Reader to Larry Ogunjobi, BJ Hill, who we traded for. All those guys are hungry. You know, all those guys want to win and compete. And yeah, I mean, they all love ball, which has been a huge part of, you know, what we've tried to build and who we've tried to go after in the offseason.
Yeah, I gotta say, you got a pretty good secondary also, and they came up big against the Kansas City Chiefs on the Arrowhead. That interception, Jesse Bates and Bell, what they put it up. I mean, the second half, can you tell us about that game against the Chiefs? What was the energy in the locker room after defense didn't get any points, after they stopped Mahomes at the last second of the first half? Can you tell us about the energy and what happened in the locker room?
Yeah, I think the players all felt like we were here before. We can do it again. That stop by Eli Apple was an unbelievable play, and I think the players just fed off of it. They knew we weren't out of it. Went into the locker room. I think we were down by the same amount of points that we were the previous time we had beat Kansas City a couple weeks before. So all the guys knew they could do it. They just had to play a perfect game in the second half, which they did. And then, yeah, I mean, like you said, the secondary came up huge in overtime with that pick, the Von Bell interception and Jesse Bates deflection. They turned the game around for us. And yeah, nothing's too big for these guys. It's unbelievable the way they play in second halves of the games, and they just keep going. You know, and like I said earlier, it's unlike any team I've been around.
Yeah, we always talking about Bengals offense, because we see Burrow in production, we see JaMarr Chase, Offensive Rookie of the Year, T. Higgins, I already said more than 1,000 yards, John Mixon, but against Tennessee Titans, O-line wasn't playing that good. Defense came up big. You won against the Titans, against the Chiefs. I mean, is the Bengals' future bright? Because you have balance, you have defense, you have offense, and you have a special team.
You know, the thing that we're fortunate in is that we've got a lot of players, young players that have years left on their contract. We're not a older team where guys are, you know, 1-year contracts and up. We're going to end up keeping most of our core guys for next year. We're gonna have to keep some of the impact players that we signed last year. The contracts were up that did, you know, the 1-year deals, like the Eli Apples and the Larry Ogunjobis, BJ Hill. You know, those guys would be key to get back, but. Yeah, like you said, it's a young roster, and we've kind of built the roster to fit, especially on, you know, defense, to just play in different types of games. You gotta play the Derrick Henrys and stop the run, and then you gotta play the Mahomes the next week and get pass rush and put pressure on Mahomes and have the secondary to hold up against the receiver. So yeah, it's been an interesting way we've all kind of put this defense together. Stop the run. You know, we got DJ Reader inside, and you got Trey Hendrickson as a pass rusher, the games that you need him on, you know, against Mahomes.
I read one article, and CJ Uzomah said he's going to do everything he can to play in his biggest career game. Man, I know what it's like to spread an MCL, and I was like, wow, he bought me with that. Can you tell us how his recovery going? If you can, of course.
Yeah, I think it's going well. I mean, he threw his brace. There's a pep rally on Monday.
Yeah, we saw that.
He throws it in the air
on social network.
So, yeah, I mean, the guy could barely walk on after that Kansas City game, and I mean, he's a warrior. I mean, he's gonna do whatever it takes to try to get out there on Sunday.
Yeah, he killed my Ravens, so I know.
Yeah,
he's a great third catching option, but I gotta ask you about Tyler Boyd. When AJ Green got hurt a couple of years ago, when T. Higgins and JaMarr Chase wasn't still drafted, he was the #1 option. But he seems to be very humble and on dial every time Burrow needs him. Can you tell us something about him?
team player. I mean, he doesn't care about, and none of these guys do. None of the receivers care about how many catches, how many touchdowns. It's they all, like we talked about, they all just want to win, and even it goes from the defensive guys to the offensive guys. I think a lot of the players understand what their roles are, and they all want to do it, you know. So yeah, I mean, Tyler's the ultimate team guy, team player, and he's been a reason why we've won a lot of these games this year.
Yeah, you're from Cincinnati, from Ohio, and everybody expected other Ohio team to be in playoffs this year. It didn't happen, but can you tell us, if the Bengals win the first Lombardi, what it's going to be like in Ohio? We remember when Philly won first Lombardi, what happened in Philadelphia. We know the Monday is off. Everybody's going to be free to welcome you after the Super Bowl. What it would be for Bengals, for city of Cincinnati, and for Ohio to win that. Joe Burrow is native from Ohio also.
Yeah, I mean, the fan base is unbelievable, and obviously we've been through some rough couple years here, and you know, it's taken the team a while to get back to this place. So the energy in the city is unbelievable. I mean, I'm sure you guys can see the video from the pep rally and the amount of fans that we have there. There probably would have been more, but I think they just had it open on the lower level. But I mean, it was sold out, packed. I think you know, if we come out with the win, the city's going to be through the roof, you know, with excitement. So hopefully we're able to pull it off.
Yeah, I'm cheering for you, just so you know. AFC North brothers.
Thank you.
Who's going to win? You have predictions? Who's going to win Super Bowl?
No, I can never say that.
You think Bengals have a chance?
Yeah, we say it a lot. You know, if our guys play the game the way they can, I don't think there's any team that we can not beat. So it's yeah. I mean, these guys are going to go on Sunday and ready to battle it out.
Man, can't wait.